The federal government declares no going back on the 18 years admission age restriction into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Lagos protesters were absent at Gani Fawehinmi Park, Ojota, on the 6th day of the protest. On foreign scene, the president of Bangladesh dissolved the country's parliament after the resignation of the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Details of these will come to you shortly. Do stay with us. And now the news in full. The federal government is mulling a revamp of the textile industries in Nigeria to leverage on its job creation potentials. To this end, the Vice President Kashim Shettima hosted a number of stakeholders at the Presidential Villa Abuja on Tuesday, which included the Governor of Lagos and Imo states to draw ideas on how best to go about revamping the moribund industries. Correspondent Nabuchi Okenabuchi sent in this report.
Imo Governor Opuzodinma said it was germane for those in the helms of affairs to do everything within their power to stimulate the Nigerian economy, hence the buy-in of governors to the project. He said, like the United Nations cotton manufacturing, the entire production chain of cotton is up to 10 sites, and the whole idea is to leverage on the opportunity to revamp the industries in Nigeria, which many of them are now moribund, particularly in the cotton and textile sector. The governor said the plan is a new opportunity that is creating a new partnership for the country to cross-pollinate ideas with experts to bring new skills, new ideas and new innovations into revamping the industries in Nigeria. He is optimistic that it will create jobs and engage young men and women that are currently roaming the streets. Corroborating Uzodinma, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, urged Nigerians to prioritize made-in-Nigeria textiles because of the impact it would have in the economy. He said the textile industry have the potential of engaging over 15 to 20 million Nigerians, hence the critical nature of the sector.
We received an audience with the Vice President, the leadership and members of the Cotton Advisory Board of the United States. So it's a global body. It's like the United Nations of cotton manufacturing. The entire production chain of cotton up to 10 sites.
The explanation has been made. Part of the things that you see with our garment manufacturer is actually polyester, not cotton. And polyester happens to be cheaper than cotton. Cotton is a higher, grade to sew as against using polyester. And polyester, if our refineries were working, for what we've also been understood now, is actually supposed to be one of the byproducts coming out from the refinery.
ICAC, we're really excited to be back in Nigeria. I was actually last here in 2011. In terms of the opportunity, I think, for Nigeria and for Africa in general, now is a really compelling historical moment. You have low-cost labor. You have market access through AGOA and through the economic partnership agreements with the EU.
No doubt about the fact that smuggling has been a very big problem for the development of the textile industries in Nigeria. But I've been part of the conversations inside the conference room for the past 2 years or thereabout. We know that there are bigger problems. We knew about the problems of yield, power, investments, and all of that.
Visitors, we have listened to international people. Cotton is an international crop, and we have discussed with them. And we are happy that revival of textiles has started, and the cotton textile garment will come up now. So they will have big employment. We employ our children. There will be no more protests. People will be employed, and it will reduce the security problem in Nigeria.
Sanwo-Olu said the Vice President then gave a marching order and a commitment, which is a great news that everybody must take away from the meeting. The Vice President also gave the governors a roadmap to actualize the goals.
The federal government has declared that there is no going back on 18 years admission age into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Recall that the decision to enforce the 18 years admission age was reached last month at the 4th edition of 2021 to 2022/2023 of JAMB National Admission Performance Merit Awards in Abuja. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, while answering questions from journalists at the sideline of an event, said the decision is not new, adding that it has been in existence in the country's educational curriculum.
It's a reminder, actually, if you look at all the policy documents on schooling system in Nigeria, go to the UB Act, for instance, you'll find the entry age into primary school is 6. 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, these are all pre-primary stages. ECE, early child education. That's what that period is meant for. And then you add up the rest of the period, you find that a child is supposed to be finishing about 17 and a half or so.
While appealing to parents to stop pushing their children unnecessarily, the minister said no children or child should be registered for primary school before the age of 6, noting that doing this will be counterproductive with attendance impact on the performance of such child. The minister disclosed that the system had been designed in such a way that there will be no vacuum of any kind, saying there will be no compromise in the admission age.
Have to sit at home. For every level, they're supposed to be in school. No child is supposed to be out of school because it's a compulsory education system for all children, to basic education. So the point is that for children below the school age, the primary school age, they are supposed to be in what is called early child education. So what they can challenge government with is to say, okay, the states, actually this level of primary education is supposed to be provided by local governments.
It disclosed that the national policy on skills development will be implemented across board and at all levels of education in Nigeria. The federal government says all is set for the introduction of national policy on skills development in all schools across Nigeria as of September 2024. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, who made the disclosure in Abuja on Tuesday, declared that the policy is central to addressing skills deficiency in the country. The report.
The pre-validation meeting on national policy and skills development was organized by the Federal Ministry of Education and UNESCO. It was a follow-up meeting on the several engagements that had been held on skills development. The policy is central to addressing skills deficiency in the country with growing population of youth who are out of school. Speaking at the pre-validating meeting on the policy, the Minister of Education said the policy would become operational as from September at the resumption of the new academic session. Also, the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sonono, in his remark, emphasized the relevance of the policy and further called for collaboration and cooperation for effective implementation.
The out of school, the thousands and millions of people we have out of school is like a pool of water. If we clear them and then we don't solve the problem that is feeding that pool of water, then we're not solving the problem. So the way to shut or reduce that water flowing into the pool is by having these skills in all the schools, from primary school to all the secondary schools.
The representatives of UNICEF and UNESCO at the event promised their continuous support for the effective implementation of a policy for the advancement of knowledge in Nigeria.
The national policy of skill development is a testament to our unwavering commitment to empowering our youth and equipping them with skills necessary to thrive in the ever-evolving job market. In a world that is rapidly transforming, the ability to adapt, innovate, and respond to the changing needs of industries has become increasingly crucial.
Stakeholders are expected to endorse the policy at the end of the one-day pre-validation meeting for implementation in all schools, both public and private, across Nigeria.
The Minister of Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa Musawa, has emphasized the importance of including King Jaja of Opobo in Nigeria's historical narrative. She made a statement at the inauguration of the technical committee responsible for implementing the King Jaja of Opobo Cultural and Historical Center in Opobo River State. The project, according to Musawa, marks a significant milestone in the current administration's efforts to promote Nigeria's art and culture. The idea behind the center's establishment was conceived during a visit by His Royal Majesty Douglas Opobo and a delegation to the minister. A member of the House of Representatives from River State, who was part of the delegation, expressed support for the project, stating that it will contribute to the collective effort to immortalize King Jaja of Opobo. King Douglas Jaja of Opobo emphasized that the center will serve not only the people of Opobo or River State, but the entire country, allowing future generations to learn from King Jaja's legacies.
Immortalizing him and allowing the next generation to understand the strides that he has made, the values, the traditions, the culture, that he has been able to impart, I think will really make Nigeria more fortified as a country.
In terms of exposure to appreciation, immortalizing, in terms of developing our culture, our tradition, even in terms of research and studies, in terms of letting the world know exactly who we are, bonding us together as a people. It will also create jobs. Is it in the area of tourism? A lot. It will open up that environment. It will open it up. So a lot. We expect a lot to achieve, a lot to gain.
It is not only to Opobo that only bad for Opobo people. It is for the generality of the country and the world. To immortalize King Jaja, in this way, is to leave a legacy behind for generations unborn. To know that these people fought, for the defense of this country.
Lagos protesters were absent from Gani Fawemi Park, Ojota, the usual meeting spot on the 6th day of the protest. Galaxy's Iribami Salako, who is there, tells us more about it in this report.
The streets of Ojota assumed the previous form of its ever-busy activities before the protest kick-started on the 1st of August. The only difference, however, is that security personnel were still very much active in their vast numbers at Gani Fawemi Park, Ojota, Lagos. When our crew communicated with one of the policemen on duty, we were informed they haven't seen the protesters on this 6th day and they don't know if the protests have been moved to another location. There was no one in sight who had information about the protest either. None of the known organizers was reachable as at press time. Meanwhile, it's not only Ojota that seems to have returned to its previous state. The ever-busy roads of Lagos have donned down its favorite attire, customized with fleets of jam-packed cars. Banks and shops that seem to have caught the precaution fever during the early days of the protest seem to have recovered too, since most of them were opened and usual activities have commenced.
This is after 12 p.m. on day 6 of the national protest that is aimed at ending bad governance in Nigeria. We are currently at Gani Fawemi Park in Ojota, Lagos State, the usual location for the protest, but the place is devoid of protesters. We still see security operatives on ground, and while we talked to one of them, what they said that they have not seen any protesters today and they were not aware if the protests have been moved to another place. Iribami Salako, Galaxy TV News, Lagos.
You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News, and coming up next. The Nigerian Police Force issues warning against the display of foreign flags during protest and the call for a military takeover. This is Odizimo. We'll come to you shortly. Please stay with us. We're glad to have you back. Now, for more update and latest news, please visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Connect to us on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Galaxy TV News. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Galaxy TV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Galaxy TV. You can also avail our eyewitness feature via WhatsApp. If you have breaking news around you, simply share your story by sending short clips or videos of the news on 018-666-669. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, has expressed his displeasure over violence that erupted during the #EndBadGovernance in Nigeria protest in Azare, the headquarters of Katagum local government area of the state. Mohammed stated this while addressing newsmen shortly after an emergency security council meeting held at the state government house. The governor said that they were with the youth in their demands, but mentioned that the state government was not in support of any form of violent protest and would not hesitate to disconnect from such, while commending the security personnel for handling the violence. The governor said all hands must be on deck to ensure that there is no repeat of what happened in Azare and some parts of Bauchi metropolis. Justice Sherifat Shonaike of the Lagos State High Court in Ikposhere has extended the earlier order restricting protesters in Lagos to the Freedom and Peace Parks in the Ojota and Ketu areas of the state. Shonaike made the order following an application by the Lagos State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Lawal Pedro San for an extension order having complied with the pre-action protocols for preemptive remedies ordered last week by a notification judge. Justice Emmanuel Ogundare Pedro, who was represented in court by the Director for Civil Litigations, Hamed Oyenuga, told the court that the service of the earlier court order had been served on all the respondents in compliance with the pre-action protocols for preemptive relief sought by the AG against representatives of the protesters. He argued that though the respondents in a suit were yet to respond to the application, there is a need to extend the earlier restriction order of the protest to 2 venues so that the state can continue to enjoy the relative peace being experienced despite the ongoing protests across the country. Governor Obasani, alongside top government officials and heads of security agencies in Kaduna State, carried out an assessment of damage done following violent protests in Kaduna. The governor also went to Tudunwada in Kaduna South local government, where the hoodlums invaded a bank and vandalized other private properties within the area. The team also went round the metropolis to assess the level of compliance on the curfew imposed. Addressing newsmen during the tour, Governor Obasani says he was worried over innocent children that were taken advantage of by the sponsors of these protests to achieve their personal aim. He added that what happened in Mali and Burkina Faso will never happen in Nigeria because they will defend democracy.
When you see young children between the ages of even 9, 10, 11, and even 14, now raising the flag of another country, you will agree with me that it's well sponsored, designed by some elements who are calling for anarchy.
The governor also had strong words for the sponsors of the protest, saying they will investigate and fish out everyone who has a hand in the violent protest.
Managing the situation, because if you notice what happened, some of the children were even climbing the APC, the armored vehicle of the police, which of course that shows that the police have been very understanding. They acted professionally for them to allow the children, because they realize that those children are underage. But here in Kaduna, we are investigating the situation, and we will try as much as possible to get to the root of those who are sponsoring these very unfortunate things in Kaduna State.
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Betokun, has said trials for suspect arrested during the End Bad Governance protest has commenced. The police had on Monday said over 800 suspects who committed various offences during the protest had been arrested. Speaking during a meeting of security agency heads in Abuja on Tuesday, Alberto Concert and Kanu suspects were being tried at the police headquarters because of their numbers. He stated that a trial of those suspects arrested during protest has begun. He also stated that because of the large number of arrests in Kanu, the magistrates moved to the police headquarters, and that is where the trial is ongoing right now. The Nigeria Police Force has issued a stern warning against the display of foreign flags during protest and calls for a military takeover, categorizing such actions as treasonable felonies under Nigerian law. Recent violent protests in Bauchi, Kanu, Kaduna and Katsina State have featured protesters brandishing foreign flags. The force public relations officer Muyiwa Dejobi, while speaking in Abuja, said the ongoing investigations has revealed that protest organizers are luring innocent children into participating in this unpatriotic and criminal act, adding that over 50 suspects have been arrested, including tailors who sold the flags and their sponsors. He said efforts are on the way to apprehend others who sponsored the production of the flags and fueled these treasonable acts.
20 suspects have been arrested, including tailors who sold the flags and their sponsors. Efforts are on the way to apprehend others who sponsored the production of the flags and fueled these treasonable acts.
The Nigerian Police Force commended Nigerians who have refused to participate in and indeed speak out against the ill-timed protest out of the sheer patriotism and belief in the government's genuine effort to put the country on the path of economic recovery and growth. The force restated its commitments to maintaining peace, protecting the nation's heritage, and working with the public to ensure the safety and stability of Nigeria. Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja has flagged off a 3-day capacity training workshop for officers of Nigerian Army towards mitigating the challenges and rising threat in the use of improvised explosive devices (IEDs) by extremists and other violent groups during military operations in the northeast and other regions. The Chief of Army Staff, who was represented by Major General Hilary Nzan of the 4 Special Forces Command Doma in Nasarawa State, flagged off the ceremony of the Counter-Improvised Explosive Devices and Combat Engineering Workshop 2024 at the Nigerian Army School of Military Engineering in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. The theme of the workshop tagged Mobility Support Panacea for Operational Efficiency of the Nigerian Army. The Chief of Army Staff said the workshop is geared towards effective engineer mobility support for the Nigerian Army, while appraising the effectiveness of current strategy against terrorist groups and to defeat insurgency and ensure troops have freedom of access through effective engineer mobility support.
The rising strength in the use of IEDs by Boko Haram terrorists, Islamic State of West African province, and other violent extremists continues to be a cause for concern. The resurgence of person-borne improvised explosive device attacks in the northeast calls for the need to appraise the effectiveness of the current strategy against the terrorist groups and what needs to be done differently to effectively mitigate the IED threats.
In a bid to address the menace of IEDs across the theaters operations, the Nigerian Army Engineering developed the Counter-IED Strategic Plan 2024 to 2028. One of the goals of this roadmap is to support attack on the adversary IED networks. While a lot has been achieved in defeating the diverse line of counter-IED operations, the same may not be said with attacking the IED network.
This workshop provides a platform for participants drawn from the Nigerian Army engineers, representatives of other corps, as well as critical stakeholders on improvised explosive device matters. to deliberate on ways of providing effective counter improvised explosive device and combat engineering support to the Nigerian Army.
Benue State Civil Protection Guard has recovered a total of 56 foreign doors out of over 120 vandalized and stolen from aviation school at welfare quarters in Makurdi. Captain Ayuma Ajove, the state commander of Civil Protection Guard, disclosed this to newsmen while parading one of the suspects after its operative arrested him with 20 other foreign doors in a bus and recovered 6 others left in the bus. The suspect, a 25-year-old Abraham Jijer, who was found with a locally made revolver pistol and 7 rounds of ammunition and other fetish items, was on his way to Makurdi to dispose of the door when he was arrested, and 2 others of his colleagues fled, citing the operative. During an interview, the suspect confessed to owning the gun and that he was asked to escort them.
So the process, they stopped there. I saw some boys with stick coming towards us. So before I could know, those boys run. Now they leave me there. I was trying to explain to them that I just escorting those boys out, but they didn't listen to me. With the vehicle and this door inside. But about the gun, it's mine. I bought it. I bought it from someone. That's 50,000 naira.
Yesterday evening, following a tip-off that a bus was conveying another set of doors to Makurdi, probably to be sold, intercepted the bus, counted the number of 20 pieces of the doors. In the process of arrest, Abraham Gigi brought out a locally made revolver pistol with 7 live rounds, ammunition of 9.9 mm.
It just shows clearly that we are not relating our efforts, we're not sleeping in the effort to see a more secure Benue State. The last time we told you about these criminals who went to vandalize the doors at the School of Aviation.
Meanwhile, the Special Advisor on Security and Internal Affairs, Joseph Har, says the suspect will be handed to the relevant security agency for prosecution according to law. The encumbrances of the paper-based birth registration system has contributed to the inability of some parents to register the birth of their children, as well as government inability to preserve and protect data for proper planning. In this report, correspondent John Felix underscores how generating valid statistics can aid effective planning in Nigeria. The report.
E-birth registration is the digitized process of birth registration that leverages on technology to register childbirth in a faster, more convenient and easier way. According to a 2023 statistics released by the National Population Commission, the number of children under 5 years of age whose births have been registered with a civil authority by age is 9.15 million out of a targeted number of 10.616 million, representing a progress of 86%. Without birth registration, evidenced by a birth certificate, a child cannot legally be considered underaged and thus protected from harmful activities such as child labor, child marriage, and child prosecution. Otumba Abayomi Johnson is the MPC's Honorable Federal Commissioner in Ogun State. He says Nigeria has recorded losses as a result of lack of data.
We've lost a lot. We've lost a lot. It means that all our planning, all our policies have been congested. And that's why you see that areas where they are supposed to provide medical facilities, we just put medical facilities there. We don't even know whether it will address something or not. For instance, I've seen area you go to an area you put a general hospital there. They don't need it. It will be moribund. Whereas you will see areas where you are supposed to have 3 general hospitals there. They don't have more than 1, or they don't even have at all. I have clear evidences on that, and that shows that those facilities were situated without taking the data into cognizance. So it's either we'll be wasting our resources where we are not supposed to put it, or will not provide adequately for people. That is what we stand to gain as a nation. That means you will not deploy your resources judiciously. And that is what has been happening in Nigeria. So it's either we have lopsided allocation, or some areas that are supposed to get resources did not have at all.
While birth certificate is a mere confirmation of a child's nationality, place of birth, age, the Federal Commissioner says accurate data will put Nigeria on the right track.
Without appropriate data, you cannot even know what we are planning for. Data about population actually form the basis for effective planning. So if you want to plan for any development in any area, you need to know what is the birth, what's the rate of death, then the immigrants, the net migration. So you need to know all this data. And if you don't have this accurate data, there is no way you can properly plan. For example, in Nigeria, and that's why most of our policies are based on outdated data. In Nigeria now, the last population census that we have was in 2006. And these are obsolete data. If we are able to have a correct and accurate data, census data now, and we build on our other vital registrations like birth registration, death registration, we can easily forecast in future what population should look like. And any policies that we are putting on ground will definitely address adequately the population that we have on ground. But if we don't have this data, it's just like we are planning a vacuum, and it may not really be adequate.
The chief of UNICEF Feed Office for Southwest says every child deserves to have a legal identity, as it is a fundamental right of every child.
E-birth registration is a formidable opportunity, it's an innovative opportunity, and it's a game changer. It enables us to have a faster, more reliable, more efficient birth registration process. It also does away with the issues of distance, geographical distances that often prevent parents from registering their children. Besides from both birth registration, it's also a great opportunity to have a reliable civil registration system for Nigeria that generates the necessary data to have an effective planning and policy implementation that impacts positively on the life of all children in Nigeria.
No doubt, e-birth registration underscores Nigeria's attempt to break from the limitations of paper birth registration. From Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
Former Governor of Ogun State, Chief Olusegun Oshoba, has appealed to Nigerians to continue to struggle together with the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the state of the nation, and also encouraged them to engage in Operation Feed Yourself to address the challenge of food crisis. He was a guest speaker at the second edition of the Nigerian Medical Association Ogun State Branch, a leadership and mentorship conference with the theme Leadership in Hard Times and the Audacity of Positive Change, held at the NMA House at Abeokuta. He equally advocated school farming being practiced in the good old days to promote food sufficiency, while attributing a challenge of food crisis to the Boko Haram insurgency in the north.
Our oil have been sold out in advance, used as collateral to money borrowed in the past. So when you hear that Nigeria is producing 2 million barrels of oil, the income they are getting is not more than 500 barrels, because about 1.5 million barrels have already been sold in advance. So it's a pity.
By doctors in Ogun State. Now this strike, of course, as we have mentioned before, revolves around the issue of reviewed commerce. And we strongly believe that government need to come in on this, because the problem is that Ogun State is losing a lot of doctors day in, day out. And we believe strongly that if this reviewed commerce is paid, that it will encourage, doctors to stay.
Speaking to newsmen, the state's chairman of NMA, Dr. Kunle Ashimi, said the leadership and mentorship conference is the second in series of the association. He have explained that doctors in the state have proceeded with an indefinite strike after a failed 3-day warning strike. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency has confirmed that 2 persons escaped death on Tuesday when a commercial bus rammed into a slow-moving articulated vehicle. Lasema Permanent Secretary, who confirmed this to newsmen, said the 2 victims sustained various degrees of injuries. He also said that the incident, which happened at Ojota, Maryland, Lagos, around 4:45 a.m., was caused by high speed leading to loss of control. He said that the agency's Tiger Response Team from the Command and Control Center, Alausa Ikeja, carried out the rescue operation. He said the incident, which caused gridlock along the highway, has been cleared and the road reopened for vehicle activities before rush hour traffic. He also advised motorists to always stick to traffic rules and regulations and drive safely to avoid road traffic crashes that could lead to loss of lives and properties. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has transferred the regulatory oversight of the electricity market in Oyo to the Oyo State Electricity Regulatory Commission in compliance with the Electricity Act 2023. The order, signed by the NERC Chairman Sanusi Garba, will take effect from 6 August 2024. According to NERC, the government of Oyo State has initiated the implementation of the recent constitutional amendment and the Electricity Act provisions. The state has complied with the necessary conditions and is keen to assume regulatory oversight of the intrastate electricity market in Oyo State. The state government had duly notified the Commission and requested the transfer of regulatory oversight in accordance with the provision of the Electricity Act. The order aims to commence the process of transferring regulatory oversight of the intrastate electricity market in Oyo State from NERC to OSERC, provide a transition plan, and address any transitional matters arising from the transfer. You're still on to Galactic Primetime News. We'll quickly take a break and when we return, the news continues. To stay with us. We're glad to have you back. The Katsina State Acting Governor Farouk Lawal approved a review of the 24-hour restriction of movement order imposed on Dusimina local government of the state and other 33 local government areas under the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew. The acting governor granted the review of the Dusimina curfew after receiving a report of an improved security situation in the area. He directed the ban on unusual gatherings and all types of protest to remain imposed throughout the state. He, however, appreciated the civil manner in which the security agent handled the hoodlums who hijacked the peaceful protest to commit criminal activities. The acting governor also thanked parents, guardians and community leaders who cautioned the children and youth from joining the bandwagon of the miscreant. Meanwhile, the State Security Council has announced the arrest of several youth in connection with the recent violence, looting and vandalization of public and private property. The forthcoming local government elections in Ogun State have been fixed for Saturday, November 16, 2024. The chairman of Ogun State Independent Electoral Commission disclosed this in a statement signed by him and made available to journalists in Abeokuta. The chairman, according to the statement, said Thursday, August 8, 2024 is scheduled for the release of guidelines for the conduct of the elections and stakeholders meeting, while campaigns by the political parties begin on Friday, August 9. Recall that the special advisor on media and strategy to Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, Kayode Akimade, had last month described as fake news a statement circulating on social media announcing that the next local government elections in the state will be held on October 26, 2024. The elected local government officials completed a tenure about a week ago. And now we'll move over to the foreign desk for more news.
This is news from the international scene. The president of Bangladesh has dissolved the country's parliament after an ultimatum issued by the coordinators of student protests that forced the resignation of the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Nahid Islam, one of the key coordinators of Bangladesh's student protest movement, issued a fresh ultimatum to the president in a video statement, demanding the dissolution of parliament and warning of further protests if this demand was not met. The office of the President, Mohammed Shabuddin, also announced that the former Prime Minister and opposition leader Begum Khaleda Zia has been officially released from prison and given a full presidential pardon. Hasina resigned and fled the country after at least 300 people were killed in a crackdown on demonstrations that began as students' protest against preferential job quotas and swelled into a movement demanding a downfall. Shabuddin said in a televised address that the interim government would hold elections as soon as possible after consulting all parties and stakeholders. The Venezuelan Attorney General, a close ally of President Nicolas Maduro, has announced that he is investigating opposition leader Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez for life incitement to insurrection. The opposition leaders had earlier called on the security forces to side with the people and ignore any orders to repress the anti-government protests. Tensions have been running high since the Electoral Authority, which is closely aligned with the government, declared Maduro the winner without making detailed voting tallies public. The opposition has uploaded copies of the voting tallies as evidence that it was Gonzalez and not Maduro who won the election. A limited amount of people had Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on their early list of possible Kamala Harris vice presidential picks, but U.S. media now reports that he will be on the Democratic ticket. The former high school teacher and football coach won attention among Democrats for its affable style and ability to land rhetoric blows on Donald Trump without seeming too aggressive. While Minnesota is a battleground state, the Harris campaign may hope that Walz has Midwestern cross-border appeal in places like Wisconsin and Michigan, which will help decide this election. Walz also has a record of enacting progressive legislation in his state while defending it in a way that moderates and independent voters can understand. In his prior job as a congressman, the governor may not have been a household name among Democrats a few weeks ago, but sometimes the dark horse wins the race. Still on the international scene, Israeli forces have killed at least 10 Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, according to Palestinian Health Ministry. The Israeli military said it's carried out 2 separate airstrikes in the north of the territory, targeting members of armed groups. There has been a surge in violence in the West Bank since the start of the war in Gaza Strip, triggered by a mass deadly attack on southern Israel on 7 October. The local health ministry says at least 600 Palestinian members of armed groups, attackers and civilians have been killed in conflict-related incidents in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. At least 17 Israelis, including 12 security forces personnel, have also been killed in the West Bank, according to a UN tally. Palestinian Authority spokesman Nabil Abu Rudina condemned the recent violence as well as alleged torture and abuse of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails as a crossing of all red lines. Israel says it has carried out an airstrike against what it said was a military structure used by the armed group Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. The Lebanese Health Ministry said 4 people were killed in the strike on a house in the town of Maifodwan, around 30 kilometers from the Israeli border. Security sources told newsmen that the 4 men were Hezbollah fighters. In an apparent response, the group launched drone strikes on towns northern Israel, injuring 2 people. It comes amid the increase in tensions between Israel and Hezbollah and with Iran, which backs the group. The country's foreign minister said on Tuesday that he was working to ensure that Hezbollah did not trigger a major escalation with its response to Shukr's death. Lastly, on the international scene, Tropical Storm Debbie is expected to bring downpours and flooding to historic southern U.S. cities on Tuesday. At least 5 people were killed after it slammed into Florida as a Category 1 hurricane before weakening to a tropical storm. Early on Tuesday morning, its center was 50 miles southwest of Savannah, Georgia, and 130 miles southwest of Charleston, South Carolina. The National Hurricane Center, NHC, warned of a life-threatening flood threat as the slow-moving storm soaks part of the U.S. southeast. Authorities said the dead included a 13-year-old boy who was killed when a tree fell onto a mobile home in the town of Levy County, located near Gainesville. In Florida, some 150,000 homes and businesses were without power on Monday night, according to PowerOutage.com. Another 36,000 residents in Georgia and South Carolina were experiencing outages. The storm is forecast to skim the coast, drenching southeast Georgia and the Carolinas on Tuesday and Wednesday, before moving inland near the South Carolina coast on Thursday. Before the storm made landfall, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency for 61 of Florida's 67 counties. And that's it from the international scene.
And up next is entertainment news.
Welcome to Entertainment News. My name is Rose Blossom. Here are the first stories of our story.
Nollywood actor Saidi Balogun has cried out over the economic hardship and situation of things in the country. Taking to his Instagram page, the Yoruba actor questioned if there is no functional price control or price regulatory agency in Nigeria. He further questioned how they can cushion the effect of inflation. The actor noted how things are getting out of hand, questioning how people were surviving. He noted how many were hungry, dying, and there was insecurity everywhere with a daily increase of kidnappings. Making a passionate appeal to the president, he urged him to do something as he noted how the citizens look up to him. Ashake, aka Mr. Money, has cooked up something in the studio for his fans, and it looks like a big project already. In a recent post, the Sungba Krona released a track list for his album with notable names like Wizkid, Central C, Travis Scott and Stormzy on the album. Ashake has quite an interesting music portfolio with a lot of hit songs to his name that have solidified his name as one of the top artists in Nigeria. A touching video has recently surfaced on social media showing the final moment of a popular Yoruba vlogger and businessman, Ali, known as Afobaje. The much-loved vlogger, known for his engaging Yoruba content, tragically passed away on August 3, 2024 while playing football. The news of Afobaje's untimely demise broke late in the evening, leaving fans and followers in shock and mourning. Further details revealed that the vlogger collapsed during a football match. In a newly emerged video, Afobaje can be seen walking from the sidelines to the center of the pitch. The footage, which appears to be from CCTV, captures the distressing moment when he bent over in apparent discomfort before collapsing to the ground. The other players in the field rushed to his aid, attempting to revive him by fanning him with their shirt as he lay on the ground. American rapper Snoop Dogg, whose real name is Calvin Codoza Browders Jr., has remained in the spotlight since the commencement of the Paris 2024 Olympics in Paris. Snoop Dogg, who is in Paris to provide commentary for NBC until the end of the Olympics on Sunday, August 11, is set to be on a mouth-watering daily paycheck. Rapper Snoop Dogg's alleged paycheck emerges online. A viral tweet by Henry L. McNamara, a New York-based venture capitalist, claimed Snoop Dogg's supposed Olympics paycheck amounts to over $500,000 daily plus expenses. By calculation, Snoop Dogg will be reportedly making a whopping total of $8 million for the 16-day event.
And that'll be all on entertainment news. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Rose Blossom Way. Bye for now.
And that's all we have on Galaxy Primetime News. Thank you so much for being a part of the news. My name is Nemwa Gimazaka. Goodbye for now.